All right, if you're thinking about moving to Sacramento, this is the video I wish everyone would watch before doing anything else, because one of the biggest mistakes people make is saying, hey, I want to move to Sacramento, without actually realizing that Sacramento just isn't one place. It's layers. And depending on which layer you land in, your lifestyle, your commute, and your day-to-day life can feel completely different. You can be in the downtown core, you can be in a neighborhood like Land Park or East Sacramento, a suburb like Elk Grove, or even way out in the suburbs like Roseville, Folsom, or heck, even Davis. And those are completely different lifestyles. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down Sacramento layer by layer so you can actually figure out where you should be looking, and most importantly, where you shouldn't be looking. So before we jump into it, we've got Sacramento up here on the map. A couple of landmarks that I want to talk about. You're going to have Sacramento International Airport up here to the northwest. Now that's going to be the main airport that you guys come into if you are flying from out of state or out of country. Now, based off of that, Sacramento is going to have a couple of major freeways. So Interstate 5 is going to be running north to south on the west side. So it's going to come in here from north, it's going to come right in front of the airport, and it's going to go all the way down the west side of Sacramento, kind of mirroring the river, and it's going to take you all the way down to Southern California. Then you're going to have Highway 99. That's also going to be running north and south. That one's going to look a little bit different. So you are going to have a little section of Highway 99 up here on the north side that's going to connect into I-5, and then you're also going to have Highway 99 that's going to continue all the way down, and that's going to parallel Interstate 5 all the way down into Southern California as well. Then you're going to have Highway 50, and that's going to be heading east towards Folsom and Dorado Hills. So Highway 50 is going to be this freeway down here on the bottom, and it's going to take you all the way out into places like Folsom, Dorado Hills, and even take you all the way up into South Lake Tahoe. Now, Interstate 80 is going to be our biggest and major freeway. Interstate 80 is going to take you from San Francisco out here in the west, and it's going to take you all the way past Davis into Sacramento, and it's going to take you all the way up into Roseville, Rocklin, and out up towards North Lake Tahoe. And then you're going to have Business 80, which is going to be looping you through the city, and Business 80 is going to be this small section that's going to connect into Interstate 80. Now here's the key. We do not have a true beltway system, so everything is going to be funneling in and out of downtown Sacramento, which means commute and direction matters. Distance on the map can be definitely misleading, and not every area connects easily. So everybody in the morning time is going to be coming into downtown Sacramento from all these freeways, 99, 5, depending on what you're closest to. Heck, we even get people that come in from Plumas Lake and Davis. So this is where people say, oh, that's only 15 miles, and they get here and realize it actually takes you 40 minutes in commuting traffic. But real quick, we're gonna pause. If we haven't met yet, my name is Lance with the Living in Sacramento team. My wife Lauren and I help people relocate here every single week from the Bay Area, Southern California, out of state, heck, even out of country. And we can tell you that most people don't need more information, they need a better way to think about their move. So that's exactly what we're doing in this video. And if you're thinking about making the move here, or you want to help narrowing down some of the areas based off of your lifestyle, your commute based off of your job, your budget, reach out to us. That phone number is going to be popping up. We are the ones that answer every phone call, email, and text message, and we absolutely love it when you guys reach out to us. We'll help you build a game plan so you don't waste your time looking in the wrong places and the wrong sections for your life. So now that you understand the layout of Sacramento, let me give you one more concept that I think is going to make your entire move completely easier. And this is what we call your 20-minute bubble. And this is how we help almost every single one of our clients figure out exactly where they should live. Now, here's what that means. Your life in Sacramento is going to happen mostly in about a 15 to 20-minute bubble radius of your home. So that's going to include your work sometimes. It's also going to include your gym, where you go to grab coffee, where your kids go to school, where you go out to eat, and where you spend your weekends. That's your bubble. And if you choose the right area, your life is going to feel a hell of a lot easier. If you choose the wrong one, everything's going to feel like a chore, and then everything's going to feel like you're swimming upstream. So real example, if you live in Roseville, but your job or your lifestyle is in Folsom, that might not look far on a map, but there's no direct freeway. We tell this to people all the time. Roseville being over here, Folsom being down here on a map, there's really only a few ways to get all the way into Folsom, and a lot of it's going to be streets, you know, city streets, hitting lights, side streets, traffic, and it's gonna feel like that drive that should only be about 15 to 20 minutes is gonna turn into a 30 or 40-minute commute. Now that's definitely outside of your bubble, and sometimes we can't really focus on where we work, so we wanna talk about that, especially on your first call. So as we go through these layers, I don't want you thinking about where do you want to live. I want you to start thinking about what does my 20-minute bubble look like. If you have to work along the 80 corridor, or if you have to work along the 50 corridor, it might make more sense to look at some of the suburbs or some of the cities that are along either of those two freeways, because that's gonna make your life a heck of a lot easier, and that's how you make a right decision. Now let's focus on Sacramento as layers, and we're gonna start with layer number 1, and that's gonna be the urban downtown core. So if we zoom in here on the map, the urban downtown core is gonna be primarily downtown and midtown. Now in all of our years of helping people relocate to the Sacramento area, we've maybe had 2 or 3 people actually land in that downtown core. So on the downtown side, it's pretty much going to be split by 15th and 16th Street. Downtown is going to be everything on the west side, closer to the Sacramento River. And Midtown is going to be everything that's going to be on the east side of 16th. So that's going to be downtown and Midtown. Now downtown in this box, this is where you're going to get walkability. You're going to get a ton of excellent restaurants. You're going to get nightlife. You're going to get events. You're going to get Kings games. This is where if you really want that true city feel in Sacramento, this is primarily going to be your only option. So as we zoom in here, you're gonna have the state capitol that's gonna be down here in downtown. You're gonna have Kimpton Sawyer, Doco, and you're gonna have Golden One that's gonna be over there. Places like the Crocker Art Museum, you've got Old Town Sacramento, you've got the California Railroad Museum, but this is gonna be primarily your only option. And here's the reality, very few of our relocation clients actually live here. Most people move here and they want more space. They want quieter neighborhoods and they want easier day-to-day living. But for the right person, this layer can be an excellent fit. Now zooming out to layer 2, these are gonna be Sacramento City neighborhoods. Now layer 2 is where things start to get really interesting, and these are gonna be some of our named neighborhoods within the city of Sacramento. So first on our list is gonna be one of the most popular, close to downtown, tree-lined streets, and that's going to be East Sacramento. So as we zoom in here on the map, East Sacramento is going to be this section. You're gonna have places that are gonna border it. So East Sacramento is really gonna be this section all the way up till Elvis, and everything kind of north of Interstate 50 and west or east of Interstate 80. Then you're gonna have Land Park. Land Park is gonna be down here. You're gonna have kind of Upper Land Park, South Land Park, but Land Park is gonna be this section that's just gonna be south of Highway 50. This is gonna be classic Sacramento, big trees, larger lots, near parks and the zoo. Just to the right of that, you're gonna have Curtis Park. Curtis Park is gonna have a very similar vibe, quieter, and it's gonna be very neighborhood oriented. Next to the east of that, you're gonna have Oak Park. Oak Park is gonna be a little bit more of an investment, and it's still gonna be a little bit variation from block to block, but it's gonna be right next to that. And then you're gonna have kind of this Tahoe Park area, which is going to be over here to the right, all the way about to Power Inn. Now, 2 other areas that I always want to kind of include in this area that aren't necessarily named neighborhoods, but they are super nice and they're within the city limits of Sacramento, is going to be Natomas. Now, Natomas is going to be kind of this section that's going to be all the way up by the airport. You're gonna have a north side and a south side that's gonna be split by Interstate 80. Now, on the north side, you're gonna have a slightly newer feel. It's gonna be a little bit closer to the airport, and you're gonna have easy freeway access. The south side is gonna be closer to downtown Sacramento, so both sides can feel good. One's gonna be a little bit older of a neighborhood. The other one's gonna feel a little bit newer. This is kind of where the old Kings Arena used to be at, so there was a lot of new development in the early 2000s, but both are going to be killer areas if you want close proximity to the airport and you need close proximity to downtown Sacramento. Then the last one that I like to include in this layer is going to be down here towards the south, and that's going to be the Greenhaven pocket area. So it's going to be a little pocket that's going to be just on the west side of I-5, and this is going to be tucked along the river. So it's going to be very quiet, and it's going to be a nice residential neighborhood. Now, all of these layers give you different characters, location, established neighborhoods, but it's not that full suburban living. This is usually where people realize Sacramento isn't just one thing, and we're still not even out of the layer of the cities yet. Now, layer number 3, this is going to be kind of Sacramento County and some of the suburbs. Now, layer number 3 is where we start moving into the suburbs, but we're still within Sacramento County. So think of areas like Elk Grove, Rancho Cordova, Fair Oaks, Carmichael, Citrus Heights. So Elk Grove is going to be down here to the south. We featured it a ton on this channel. It's going to be a super practical, self-contained city that has tons of amenities, strong suburban layout. Now, keep in mind, we will be breaking down each one of these cities and suburbs on their own separate map videos. So this is going to be a little bit more high level, but Elk Grove is the second largest city behind Sacramento as it relates to population and size, and it's got a lot of amenities. It's one of the 3 anchor cities that we talk about on this channel when we're talking about amenities, restaurants, variations, school diversity, house diversity. You got entry level, you got luxury, you got everything in some of these neighborhoods like Elk Grove, Roseville, and Folsom. Next up, a little bit north of that, is going to be Rancho Cordova. Now, Rancho Cordova is growing fast, and there is a ton of new construction that's affordable. So as we zoom in on Rancho Cordova, you're going to have kind of a newer section that's going to be down here on the south side of Rancho Cordova. That's primarily where you're finding a lot of the newer construction, but Rancho Cordova is also going to kind of come up here to the top part of the freeway. It's still going to include a lot of that stuff, just some of those other parts of Rancho Cordova are going to feel a little bit older as it relates to some of the shopping centers, some of the amenities, but you are going to be close to 50. You are going to be close to public transportation via the light rail. So really good area of town. Now, zooming out a little bit further, we have Fair Oaks and Carmichael. Now, Fair Oaks is going to be just north of the river, and Carmichael is going to be over here kind of to the west of Fair Oaks. Now, these are going to be some of your more established neighborhoods. You're going to have a lot of bigger lots. You're going to have more of that traditional suburban feel, and you are going to have close proximity to the river, close proximity to Interstate 50, and you can make it down into Sacramento pretty easily from there. Now, moving up a little bit further, you've got Citrus Heights here, and you've got Orangeville. Both of these areas can have a little bit more affordability, and they're centrally located. For me, if somebody's moving here and they either have a job that requires them to travel a lot for work, or they're just not really sure about where they want to live, in my opinion, these areas between the 2 freeways can be some of the safest bets as it relates to your 20-minute bubble, because you can go north, south, east, west. You can go in any direction, and it really doesn't matter. You're going to be about 20 minutes away from a lot of different things. 20 minutes, 25 minutes away from downtown Sacramento. You can get to Folsom, Roseville, all the different shopping. This is where a lot of people land in between these 2 freeways if they want suburban lifestyle, convenience, and that value. Now, at this point, you should already be able to eliminate some of these layers based off exactly what you know your lifestyle is or what you're really not wanting. So now, if you're still trying to figure out which of these actually fits your situation, reach out to us. We can actually narrow down this very quickly. Layer number 4 is where actually a lot of our relocation buyers end up. Now, these corridors are going to be branching out from Sacramento, and the first one that I want to talk about is going to be the 80 corridor. Now, this is going to be the first corridor. This is where a lot of people tend to land. These are going to be newer homes, tons of shopping, family friendly, but you're going to have your first 3 cities that are going to kind of populate right outside of the 80 corridor, and that's going to be Roseville, Rocklin, and Lincoln. Roseville is another one of those anchor cities that we talk about. It's actually the 3rd largest city behind Elk Grove and Sacramento, but it has a lot of the shopping, it has a lot of the restaurants, it has a lot of the amenities. Now, zooming back out on the map, you have the 50 corridor. Now, this one's going to take you east, and this one's going to take you all the way into South Lake Tahoe, and you're going to have places like Folsom, which is actually still a part of Sacramento County, and it's another one of those anchor cities. And then just on the outside of Sacramento County, you're going to have Dorado Hills. Now, this is going to have excellent schools. You're going to have outdoor lake life, which is going to be primarily at Folsom Lake. Tons of access to nature, outdoor trails. You've got Folsom Lake, and then you've also got a little lake down here that's actually pretty cool for paddleboarding, kayaking, all the fun stuff on Lake Natomas. So Folsom and Dorado Hills are going to be primarily those suburbs that are going to be along the 50 corridor when you're outside of the Sacramento County line, even though Folsom still lands in that. Now, next to the south, you're going to have the 99 corridor. Now, if we look at Elk Grove on a map, you've got 99 that's going to run directly through the middle of Elk Grove, so you can be on the east side of 99 or the west side of 99. Now, if you're off of the 5, you're primarily going to be, in Laguna West or the Stone Lake community. So not easy access coming up into Sacramento from Interstate 5, but you do have a couple of our favorite communities. So you've got strong commuting, you've got a little bit more space, and you've got a little bit more of that suburban feel, and you're not super far away. You're probably about a 20 to 25 minute drive into Sacramento, depending on where you're at. But down here in Elk Grove, This is primarily where all of their new construction is going to be happening down there as well too. Now the last corridor is really going to be kind of that 5 corridor, and that's going to come in front of the airport like we talked about a little bit earlier. So really you kind of have North Natomas, you have South Natomas, and then even some people choose to live all the way out in Woodland. And Woodland's going to be another town that's just going to be on the west side of the airport. Now, some honorable mentions that I do want to talk about, and a lot of people don't really assume this is part of the greater Sacramento metro, but you do have Davis down here, which is going to be down to the west. So Davis is primarily a college town. 60% of its residents kind of commute in and out from different school years, but it's definitely a different vibe. It's super bike friendly, but a lot of your kids may be thinking about going to UC Davis, which is primarily the college that's in Davis. It's a great college. It's one of the top ones in the nation for a couple of different things like agriculture, veterinary sciences, and medical sciences. But sometimes you may not want to live in Davis, but you want to be close enough to your kids. So you could be or land somewhere in Sacramento or even in West Sacramento, which is over here just on the west side of the river. Now, this is where people either end up making an incredibly smart decision or they end up in the wrong place entirely. Now, here's how you actually use all of this. So step number 1 is going to be choosing your layer. How close to the core of downtown Sacramento do you need to be? Or which freeway or corridor do you need to be closest to if you're going to be out here in the suburbs like Folsom, Roseville, or heck, even Elk Grove coming up here from the south? Which one is going to be there? And then we're going to tell you to probably narrow it down to 1 to 2, maybe even 3 areas. And then step number 3 is we're going to look at homes. So really your first recon trip is probably going to be about 60 to 75% of scouting, recon, checking out restaurants, checking out different things to do, shopping, grocery stores, all that fun stuff. Heck, even trying to test out some of your commute times during the 7 to 8 o'clock traffic, or even at the 5 o'clock commuting traffic home. Check those things out. See what you can actually tolerate and see what actually works for your family and your lifestyle. And then we'll start to slowly transition once we start to eliminate places on the map. We were actually out with a family yesterday that was in town from Florida. Now, part of what they were looking at is they wanted to be closer to family and they wanted to be anchored into Orangeville. But as they were exploring, as they were checking things out, we weren't even looking at homes, but they were just kind of cruising around, checking out some of the different areas. They realized that Dorado Hills was a little bit too far. West Roseville was a little bit too far. They were able to eliminate 2 to 3, maybe even 4 areas within the first outing of being in here. First 24 hours of being in Sacramento, they were able to eliminate that. So that's what we really tell you. So if you take anything from this video, it's gotta be this. Sacramento is not just one city, but it's combined of layers. And inside those layers, you'll need to figure out what your 20-minute bubble looks like, because once you get that right, everything else becomes way easier. Now, if you want help figuring out what your 20-minute bubble should look like based off of your job, your lifestyle, and or your budget, go ahead and reach out to us. We love to help. That phone number is going to be popping up. We are the ones that answer every phone call, email, and text message, and we absolutely love sitting down with you guys, going through your goals, figuring out your story, and what's going to be the best solution on moving to the greater Sacramento metro. And this is exactly why we're going to keep doing more map videos on this channel. You guys love it. You guys love it when I break this down because it gives you kind of that big picture. But next, we're going to be diving deep into a lot of these areas individually. We've already broken down Roseville a couple weeks ago, but I'm going to redo that video. We're going to be talking about Folsom, Elk Grove, Rocklin, Lincoln, some of these awesome suburbs. What are the best neighborhoods? What should you avoid, where the new construction is, and what it actually feels like to live there. So if you're trying to figure out where you want to live, stay tuned because we will be featuring that. But if you want to check out that Roseville video I did a couple months back, it's going to be linked on the video right here. So check out that video if you're thinking about Roseville. Otherwise, stay tuned because I will be breaking down some more of these map videos.